reasons you won't find her pretty. 'Cause I am insecure. My looks been needing more. And I try to find the reasons that you would stay with me. 'Cause I am insecure.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, it has been a little bit of a minute. You should have seen one other video prior to this one, but I've just been taking little mini breaks, guys. Just, you know, living this soft life and not stressing over this YouTube channel. So I took a couple breaks, you know, with my busy schedule and just finding things to do with my life, you know, because aside from creating content, there's a whole life out here that I'm living. So welcome back if you're new and this is your first time passing through this channel or finding me. Thank you for stopping in, and I hope that you find something that will, you know, benefit you in any way, whether it's for entertainment, encouragement, motivation, whatever it may be. I hope you find something that will, you know, can make you consider subscribing, okay? And if you are returning, let me say thank you, and I really appreciate you guys. I've been going through comments trying to respond to old videos, and yeah, so thank you for coming back. I am sitting here on the floor today, sitting in the floor, and I thought I'd go ahead on and get a video up for the weekend. We're coming upon a long weekend, Labor Day. Monday is Labor Day, so this is Thursday that I'm recording this video, and you should have seen a video on Friday, and you should be watching this Sunday or thereafter. But welcome back, and I know you guys have saw the title, right? You've seen the title. This is probably one of my most controversial videos. This is probably one that is that can, you know, trigger warning. And this is probably one that, you know, it's going to be a lot of different opinions and, you know, as I said, controversial. But I think it's a conversation that we need. And I also planned on carrying this video over into my live. So my live is September. I haven't picked a date yet, but we're going to continue this conversation about healing from mother-daughter relationships. And I thought it was time to have this open, very, very transparent and vulnerable conversation. I know a lot of women suffer from or healing from or have been hurt from or damaged from mother-daughter relationships, and it spans back generations and generations and generations. And this is not just exclusive for us. I do know that my channel followers are predominantly African American people, and but I do know I have others, and whether or not we admit it or not, this crosses all races, right? So therefore, this conversation is to benefit everybody. And what I'm here to do today is just have a conversation to open up the thoughts and to get that flowing in your mind so that if you join me on my live, we can have a really, really deep conversation about it. I love having thought-provoking and deep conversations. I think it helps you to grow. I think it helps you to, you know, it will help you think and make better decisions, and or either get you thinking about other decisions and options. So, the mother-daughter relationship is a very deep, complex, loving, and sometimes traumatic and toxic. I heard Mariah Carey talk about the passing of her mother and her sisters, and a lot of people came at her for her lack thereof, the relationship with her sister and her mom. And the thing that got me about that whole conversation is that I related to a lot of it. And I felt like people were placing judgment in areas that they have no idea. And, you know, we always think in the terms of a mother that gives birth to her child, her children, and that because of that, it comes with all these things that she deserves. Because giving birth is probably the biggest thing a woman can do with her life, is creating and having a life that comes through her. So that is the biggest thing that she can ever do. And that deserves praise. That person deserves praise for that. But we do know that every mother that gives birth is not the kind of mother or earn that title of a mother. We know that, right? So therefore, we cannot be judging people who don't have this cookie cutter or perfect relationship. Or I won't say perfect, but just have this great relationship, or this relationship that you're on the outside looking in, judging and saying you should be honoring her. From what I gathered and watching the documentary between her and Oprah, that was a very traumatic relationship that her mom had. And she described it as a prickly rope, meaning there were thorns or something sticking from the ropes that if you slid your hand down, you would get stung or pinched or stuck, where you would go, ow, that hurts, right? But then there were smooth parts where you would feel good and loved. And I think that's a dynamic for a lot of women between mothers and daughters. They have that relationship where it's a love-hate relationship, especially during the teen years. How many of you can remember your mother-daughter relationship? I certainly can remember mine. And let's just say all relationships aren't the same. And do you know also that a lot of us are shaped, and decisions that we make are based on that relationship? Absolutely. Some of the things, the patterns that you have, habits that you have, mannerisms that you have, is based on that mother-daughter relationship. It certainly is. And I know sometimes we can look at that and be like, man, that is, really hard to think about. But it is, definitely. We are shaped a lot by our moms. I had always said that I would never get on social media to try to bash any of my family members, and that's, to this day, I still won't do that. But I do have to live in my truth of things I experienced as a young girl. And I'm no stranger to sharing this on the channel, that I had a tumultuous upbringing. And it has definitely impacted my life in a lot of areas. And I am blessed to say that I'm a better woman today, and that I have accepted a lot of the things that I had to experience, and I have healed from many of those things. But I will say that sometimes you still have things that you deal with, but they'll only come up when things trigger that memory. And I think that's just life. When you've gone through something that's traumatic, it's going to always live somewhere within you, but it does not have to walk with you every day. Like I shared with you guys that I was a victim to an armed robbery where a person pulled a weapon on me and threatened to blow me away. And even though that has been 4 years ago, the thought of that, or to see a story about someone being held up, or victim to someone pulling a firearm on them, it triggers that memory. So that's the same thing in this situation. And the things that you do going forward a lot of times are affected by that mother-daughter relationship. I can say that for me, it taught me to not trust a lot of people. My mother-daughter relationship. That I couldn't trust many people, and that I had to depend on myself and become a survivor. So therefore, I poured so much into working and trying to provide a home, making sure that my children had everything they needed. Sometimes the things they wanted, but mainly the things they needed at all cost. And because of that, it took me away from the home quite a bit. And I missed out on a lot of relationship building by spending a lot of quality time. And what I thought I was doing by creating quality vacations or quality days with my children, I still was missing out on some of the things that I needed to be able to experience with them, especially my son. But like I said, I felt guilt for years because his father was not present in his upbringing. And even though he took care of him financially, he was not present in the day-to-day or the building and helping them to grow into being a man. So I felt a lot of guilt toward things that happened in his life as he grew up into a young man. And my youngest daughter often told me, and I'm very honest and transparent, that when she became a teenager, that I was sometimes not emotionally connected to her. And I respect that, and her telling me that. And I can look back over my life and see those gaps. And when she was young, that was my girl. She was my ride or die. We was close. But when she got into the teenage years where she started to venture and come into herself and like boys, and we moved. That was the biggest transition that happened to us. We moved to Memphis, and the connection went like this. And then I got to the point where I didn't understand a lot of things. And I was just trying to manage and get by. So we're better now. We're a lot better now. But it was some gaps in that relationship. So I own up to that. And then I thought about my mother-daughter relationship. And I said, you know what? I never had one with my mom. And my mother was a hustler. She was a survivor. She was a workaholic. And she was some other things. And she had relationships that weren't great. And those relationships affected all of her children. I often talk about the physical abuse that she sustained at the hands of her husbands and her boyfriends. And when she married after divorcing my father, her children became, her daughters, not her son, but her daughters became victims of that same abuse. So I was abused at the hands of my stepfather. So that impacted my life. And the only way I see that you will ever be able to come into yourself is to actually revisit your childhood and your thoughts about your life and see the mistakes you've made and own up to the mistakes you made and acknowledge them, and even acknowledge the things that you had missing from your life, and forgive. Forgiveness is for you, but being able to not hold a grudge and not hold people in bondage forever. Now, let me say, I know that this is easier said than done, and everybody's situation is different. Some people have relationships where their mothers were abusive, that did not love them, that blamed them for things, that took out on them their misery and their pain and sadness and depression, or blamed them for the men that left them, or just was downright no good mothers. So therefore, this does not apply. But what I will say in those circumstances, that being able to forgive and move forward for you. Not saying that you have to go back and create a relationship with that person, but being able to just let go. Work through it if it has to be through counseling, spiritual counseling, medical counseling, whatever it takes. Prayer takes a lot of prayer. Trust me on that. And a lot of things that you have done in your life is because of that relationship. Did you know that? Your attitude and behaviors as you were developing was because of that relationship. And I told you in a video years ago how I was so determined to survive, and that I had anger for years, not realizing it. But I thank God that my healing took place. But I had to take a lot of missteps to get here. And so I want to get the conversation going for our live. I want you to think about your mother-daughter relationship. And some of you may have had some beautiful relationships. And I want you to come through as well, because I want you to share that with the ladies. And we're going to help one another to heal from our mother-daughter relationships and be better, and to be able to help our daughters and our granddaughters, so that any toxic relationships, any bad vibes, any generational issues can stop here. So let's get this conversation started. Drop your comments below, and I hope for you to join me. Make sure you check out my community page for the date. I'm thinking it may be the 3rd week of September. I'm not sure right now, but I definitely will post that. But please join us for that great conversation, that very deep conversation, so that healing can begin, so you can live your life that is designed for you. All right? You don't have to wait till you're 60 to do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Remember, I love you. Peace. Have a great evening.
Let me know the things you love about me. Love me like I'm more than just a body. Are you just with me? 'Cause you need a body. Am I somebody to you? Can I be somebody you